Thanks a million, Emma. And what a brilliant talk, Mandy. I really enjoyed that. Greetings from a porta cabin in the middle of a field at the Renaissance Fair. I'm on site for the Scottish Open. It's great to have the opportunity to catch up on this forum. So staying alive, sport and physical activity for all. Regular physical activity is one of the best things that you can do for your health. I guess that we all intuitively get that it can be hard, it can be challenging, but it can also reward in equal measure. And I guess there's people that are a bit wiser than me. So the slide's still showing.
Yes, the slides are still showing.
Perfect. So it's not just myself, there are people far wiser than myself that have observed that sport has got the power to change. It's got the power to inspire. It's got the power to actually help you stay alive. If you start being active and remain active, again, there's all sorts of benefits that are there, but hopefully the Special Olympics, the Olympics, the Paralympics, even the Euros, England are doing pretty well, can actually just put a smile on people's face. And I think in this day and age, that's one of the most important things, you know. Where there was despair watching Scotland, there can be hope. You know, it's something that really can provide a lot of value in different ways. And I think just talking about the multidisciplinary team and the Special Olympics, I thought I'd share some slides from my experience. This is my boy, Sonny. Sonny was born with a number of medical conditions. He's received a fair bit of multidisciplinary input in Glasgow. So Sonny spent a couple of months in the ICU there, got fantastic cardio rehab, and now is well on his way to the Special Olympics. This is him at 2, kicking a ball about, and probably being better than his dad. And I guess, you know, the human has evolved to be physically active. You know, it's very recently that humans have had the opportunity to drive cars and do things like actually go to the supermarket to get foods rather than actually having to catch food itself. So the human has evolved perfectly, you know, as a persistence hunter and to be physically active. And I'm sure that sport has been a part of that. And I guess, you know, I had the opportunity 10 years ago to run from John O'Groats to the Sahara Desert. I used to spend some time doing some running and climbing and going up hills and mostly falling off them, playing football, playing tennis, golf, whatever, just anything I could really get my hands on. It puts a smile on my face, and it's something that I really enjoy. Again, there can be challenges associated with it, but during this 2,660-mile run from John O'Groats to the Sahara Desert, I had time to run, I had time to eat, and I also had time to read. And one of the things that I read about, due to the fact that I was sitting my exams in sport and exercise medicine, was the power of sport, the power of physical activity, and the contribution that can make not only to individuals, but to populations and to society. It's fantastic to see the leadership that the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow and the podiatrists have shown in particular regarding sport and physical activity and its promotion. And again, it can be difficult, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Times it's raining, times you're tired, times that you don't want to do it, times that you wake up feeling like you're 90, etc. But I guess we can also recognise that things are moving and things are improving at a greater pace and scale than ever before. The world is undoubtedly challenging. It's been unbelievably busy for healthcare practitioners over the last 20 months or so. And it can seem quite gloomy on occasion, but you know, think of this. This is the true age of acceleration, as the futurologist Mark Stevenson said. Things are changing at a faster pace and at a more rapid scale than ever before. And it used to be far worse than this. 200 years ago, human life expectancy globally, it was actually better in Glasgow and better in Scotland at that time. The human life expectancy 200 years ago, and for much of human history, was only 25. So me being 40, I'd have been long dead. But you can see that actually it's only really since then that human life expectancy has improved. We put a man on the moon, Aberdeen have won the Cup Winners' Cup, and all sorts of amazing things have happened. But surely a trebling of human life expectancy in the last 200 years is something that the human race can be really proud of. And it's required a lot of collaboration, a lot of teamwork, and a lot of genius from the likes of Edward Jenner and Florence Nightingale, people that have taken significant measures towards vaccination, significant measures towards sanitation, good standards of hygiene, things that are of course incredibly relevant now. But here's what Scotland also invented. You know, of course, there's the Edward Jenners, there's the Florence Nightingales of this world that have done amazing things. And there are other things that Scotland's invented that have been amazing and have got their place, but really have contributed to physical inactivity. The three best friends of physical inactivity, the television, the refrigerator, the telephone, And physical inactivity has been shown to be the second biggest risk factor for premature mortality worldwide. And there is good news and there is bad news. I think I've shared with this forum before that really the bad news is if you're running to the Sahara, if you're taking place in sport, bad things can happen. And again, I'm from Aberdeen, so we'll start with the bad news. There's a 30 to 40% increase in athlete's foot if you're physically active, and a much bigger increase in blisters. But you do get, as an Aberdonian, 30% off an early death. Now, I'll take 30% off anything, but 30% off an early death. Now, how amazing is that? And it's not just limited to that. You've got significant reduction in mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, adjustment disorder, and dementia. And actually, it's just as good for the body as well in terms of between a 20 and a 70% reduction in heart attacks and strokes and type 2 diabetes and hip fractures and loss of function and in certain types of colon cancer. So, you know, really, if there was a tablet or a prescription that we could provide that would actually give the benefits that regular physical activity and participation in sport or something can provide, you know, is that not an amazing gift that we can give to our children, to our patients, to our family, and to all of our colleagues? And really, you know, that's what it's about. You know, I think it was Peter Kay that said that children are the future, you know, chicken Kievs, garlic bread, things like that, but actually he came back to children being the future, and he was right there. You can see that. Can you think of a better present to give your kids than something that will improve and give them better marks at school? Something that can provide significant enhancement in terms of life expectancy and also mental health and physical health. You know, that is the single best present that we can give our children and also to our patients. And the thing that people often say is, but doc, you know, I've done the walking that you've advised, or perhaps I've taken up golf, or I'm taking part in football and walking football, or I'm doing the garden, or I'm walking to work, or I'm on the bike and stuff like that, and I still haven't lost any weight. Is that a problem? And actually, comprehensively, you can say the benefits that you're getting are very significant. And actually, Stephen Blair's work published in JAMA showed that you're actually better off being fat and fit than thin and unfit when you look at the overall population statistics. And of course, I think there's fantastic resources that have been produced by Gregor Smith and Catherine Calderwood, contributing to the wider schemes, looking at the practical advice we can offer. And these are terrific to go up on clinic walls. You know, the physical activity benefits for adults and over adults, and actually what you can do about it. And it can be about sport, but it can be about anything that gets your heart rate up and gets you on your feet on a regular type basis. So again, you know, you've got guidelines for children, people that are between 5 and 18. I've got at least one of them. Physical activity in the early years, it's really difficult to actually keep kids inactive. They love getting out and about. You know, it's great. You know, it's one of the great joys is watching the kids playing the climbing frames on the swings, playing football with them, whatever. But you can see it's actually just a hugely important thing that we can facilitate. And often we don't need to tell people what to do. They just do it naturally in terms of dance and play and messy play and throw and catch and scoot and bike and all these sort of good things. And there are further guidelines. I think, you know, emphasising that regular physical activity and participation in sport is for all of society. And you can see the huge benefits that are there for pregnant women, for persons with a disability, and really just encouraging people to consider making it a daily habit or a regular habit. You know, and I think, again, Kyle Minogue said you've always got time. You know, there's always the opportunity, whether you're 3 or 103, to be physically active, to take part in sport, and to find something that actually you enjoy. And you can see that Scotland leads the world in many things, but participation in physical activity, we're lacking. If you look at Kenya, if you look at South Asian countries, you know, numbers are absolutely massive. And you can see an increase in terms of sporting participation. And things have actually gently continued to get better, but it's been driven by walking. So people are sitting less and walking more. They might not be playing sport, and that's fine. You know, playing sport has got additional benefits, but even if it's as simple as going for a walk and going for a walk with your coffee, again, avoiding indoor spaces, etc. There's obviously infection control benefits, but there are huge benefits in getting about and going for a walking meeting or getting out and being physically active as a part of what you do, and really encouraging your colleagues to do so. Because as line managers, it's hugely influential. Those that are physically active are 30% more productive than those that are not. And again, I think this just highlights that actually everything counts and something is better than nothing. And it can be about walking, it can be domestic activity, non-team-based sport. team sport, these things all add value. And you know, that sense of cohesion, that sense of connection, those things that we've all missed during lockdown and subsequently with a degree of normality that's been missed. I think, you know, sport and exercise can contribute to these factors. So I think Mandy talked about Kenya, and I grew up in Kenya, and I must admit, when I actually came back to Scotland at the age of 8, we used to go outside and play football and take our shoes and socks off. So when I came back to James Gillespie's primary school, the first thing I did running out in the snow was to take my shoes off. Lasted about 5 minutes, retreated to the classroom crying, but it was great fun out there. And you can see actually that one of the main reasons that the Kenyan athletes are of such high caliber is that they actually just make this a part of everyday life. Whether that's running, whether it's doing anything, really they're out and about and they're active all the time. And that really has enormous benefits from a physiological perspective. Not only in terms of winning Olympics, but actually in terms of health in the medium and the long term as well. So you can see it's something we can start, something that can help. And actually, every different sport has its own unique benefits. You can see that football has got some well-established benefits. There's also things to look out for. You know, your concussions, your sudden cardiac issues. That again, the likes of Jonathan Hansen, the likes of John McLean, Johnny Gordon, and college fellows have contributed massively to, you know, safety in football. Athletics, again, there's very strong cardiovascular benefits, strength and balance benefits associated with golf, for example, and actually even watching sports. So, for example, if you come to the Scottish Open this week, the average golf spectator takes 11,500 steps, and that's good to meet the CMO guidelines and to actually get some health benefits in the fresh air, socialising with other people, and again, making a difference to your health and well-being that way. This was shot in America, where obviously COVID regulations are partially ignored, as we know. Joking. So again, this just highlights the actual benefits that can be associated with watching sport. So if you are watching the Olympics, the Paralympics, the Special Olympics, the Euros, the golf, or whatever, no, why not do so in an active fashion? Just looking at some of the exercises that you can build in. And some of the things that you can do while you're watching, it might be watching sport live, or it might be in front of the television. But you can see that, again, you get for these different sports, huge racket sports, tennis, squash, all these things that Scotland are quite good at. You can see an almost 50% reduction in mortality or premature mortality associated with it. And this is golf. Again, you can see that the same benefits are there. And many of these sports are much maligned in terms of the actual benefits to participants. Golf does provide moderate to vigorous physical activity for 90% of participants, muscle strengthening benefits, you know, the torque associated with swinging the club. And on average, of course, you're better walking the course rather than using the buggies and these things that are prevalent elsewhere. But what works? You know, what actually helps improve physical activity, not only for individuals, but for society? And the good news is that everybody's got a key path to play. You know, as health practitioners, as podiatrists, as general practitioners, as sports physicians, as nurses, as pharmacists, as physiotherapists, you know, it's really something that we can contribute to, not only in our clinical practice, but by walking the walk and doing the exercise ourselves and building and working on community-wide programs and building it into education. It's terrific that, you know, PE is prioritised in Scotland. It could even be done so more. But again, you know, this has strong benefits educationally as well. So these really are good investments in physical activity. And, you know, here's what we can do, is we can ask the question, you know, on how many days a week are you physically active and for how long? Make that assessment, offer advice, potentially brief intervention, directing to resources. Movement medicine is terrific. You know, there's some great resources that are there. And the college has many resources as well. And it's about, I think, also thinking about how we can apply these systematically within our own community. What can we do for our family? What can we do ourselves? What we can do for the patients that we work? You know, what information can we put on the wall or share? And working in partnership, you know, the college is great that way. Working nationally, working internationally, working with other colleges, working in collaboration. And also, I think just for me, it's just great to have the opportunity to catch up with podiatrists and other health practitioners, because when I ran to the Sahara Desert, you know, the single thing that actually saved me, I got to Hoyt and my Achilles looked like sticks of rhubarb. I had the opportunity to catch up with Dan Broadhead, a podiatrist. I had an opportunity to catch up with a podiatrist also in France. They really got me from A to B, or John agrees to Sahara as it was. And you can see again, it's not just about the actual treatment that can be offered in terms of feet, and about the sort of difference it can make to patients and the sort of ability to keep people physically active. That's what we're doing. We're keeping people on their feet. We're keeping them physically active. These are hugely important health interventions. And I suppose also it's about, if you are ever looking to run to the Sahara Desert, I would strongly advise that you wear these sand gaiters on your feet, which can make all the difference in preventing the blisters that you can see. So I think, nothing is easy in terms of sport or physical activity. In terms of the challenges that we set ourselves, it can seem difficult. It can also seem exciting. It gives opportunities, and it's for us, and I guess it's for our patients. Just a huge thanks for the opportunity to contribute to this session. The call to action really is spread the word about physical activity and sport. Secure buy-in, try and build that excitement, promote it where we can, and most of all, be active ourselves. So thanks for the chance to catch up. If there are any questions either in this forum or to my email address, then please do get in touch. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Andy. I'm quite sure, like everybody listening, we all just want to go out for a walk or a run now. You're so motivating. The evidence you present always tells a story, never mind the way you present it. So thank you. We haven't had any questions in the chat this evening. I think everyone is just absorbing and enjoying the wisdom coming forward. So I guess a similar question to you might be around perhaps what you've seen during COVID in terms of the take-home message for clinicians listening. What would you say that the COVID requires of us over and above our normal awareness of these sort of sports injuries?
Great question. Thank you, Emma. I think for anything in life, it comes down to a balance of the risks and the benefits. And we all know that the benefits of sport and physical activity are massive for most people. You might get blisters, you might get some athlete's feet, but you'll probably be overall happier and healthier and more productive. So the upside there. I guess when prevalence is high and you're unvaccinated, then risks can be associated with it, particularly depending on your background. So I think it's always wise to consider the benefits of sport and then also consider the risks and to work out what you can do about those risks. So it might be that if you are unvaccinated or you have got health concerns, then you'd obviously modify the activities and always in line with government guidelines. The government, I think, have actually been great in always promoting walking, cycling, running, etc. and then moving to COVID-safe sports like the likes of tennis, the likes of golf. The outdoors, socially distanced, the risks really are extremely small. When we talk about the likes of football, the likes of rugby, again, these are outdoor sports. So the studies, despite the fact there is contact, the studies are pretty reassuring in terms of COVID risk transmission in sport outside. I guess looking at sport inside, we're moving into a different era, where there'll be fewer restrictions and these balances are made. But I think it's just about remember the benefits, consider the risks and take steps to decrease them. Absolutely don't do anything if you're carrying any symptoms and make sure that you are self-isolating. I think that the one good thing that's coming out of COVID is it's made us less disgusting. I saw a piece of research that showed that prior to COVID, 60% of males only washed their hands after they'd been to the toilet. And the figure for females wasn't great either, to be honest. So I think if it's helped us all to wash our hands more regularly and essentially just make sure that we're really looking after each other in terms of bugs and well-being, then I think that's something that I've taken. And it is good that we have followed the evidence, things are opening up, there's more opportunities to play sport and also, I suppose, to watch sport live in Scotland and opportunities that are coming.
Well, I think you've captured it perfectly with the enthusiasm. We've just had Nancy in the chat saying, not a question, just wanted to say what an informative and enthusiastic talk. I think as clinicians, we have a real role in that, don't we, to infuse people we work with to help them to become active. So thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. I know you're busy. It's been well worth it for everybody to stop and listen to you. So thank you once again.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. So to just tidy up then this evening, we have heard from a hugely diverse range of speakers. I'm sure you've enjoyed it as much as I have. We've considered everything from how we speak to people. We've just heard from Andy about the motivational side of things, and the language we use is so important to that. But just as a sort of a passing comment, I think it's important, just as we were discussing now with Andy, to consider the prevalence of musculoskeletal foot conditions in particular, but obviously musculoskeletal conditions in general. So in 2019, the Office for Statistics reported around just over 4 in 10 people living with a musculoskeletal condition were inactive. So cause or effect, it doesn't comment on. However, it certainly doesn't lead to perhaps that motivational factor of getting off your bottom and to start walking or to begin activity. To bring us bang up to date, Cherry and colleagues from Southampton University have just reported an ongoing picture to that 2019 statistics. So we now are looking at around a 76% prevalence of people living with a foot problem for 4 weeks or longer, around 54% reporting foot pain, and 19% reporting a change in appearance of their foot, which could potentially be quite catastrophic when we think about the reasons a foot might change in appearance or shape, not least with swelling. We have this is a call to action. This is a real time for us to capture this moment of people either becoming polarized into inactivity or to increased activity, both of which will lead to their own problems. And I guess it would be a lovely point for us to leave on this evening, having been infused by our wonderful speakers with clinical tips and tricks, up-to-date research, and just that wider picture about what our call to action is. So I hope that has inspired you. I have been inspired and so interested this evening to hear from our speakers, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So I will leave you there to enjoy the rest of your evening. Many thanks for joining us.